Let's turn the pages of a beautifully told story. It's called Neo's Invisible Blanket, and it's written by South African actress, producer, now author Salamina Mosese. And we all know that taking the first steps into something new can be scary, whether it's your first day at school, trying something different, or even just learning to stand on your own 2 feet. And that's exactly what's explored in the beautiful rendition in this children's book. It's a heartfelt story about courage and bravery and the power that comes from finding comfort within yourself, with or without your invisible blanket. And so let's unwrap the lessons behind this inspiring story. We are joined by Salamina at the Sawa. Salamina, good morning and thank you for your time. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I know that you had a launch yesterday. I wonder if you can tell us how it all went. I mean, it's deeply personal in terms of the inspiration as well. So I wonder if you can share how that resonated with the audience as we begin.
Oh gosh, yes. Yesterday we were hosted by Exclusive Books in Sandton for my book launch, and I think the turnout was fantastic. And really, Liesel, it's that feeling when you read your baby for the first time to like a massive audience and seeing that instant reaction, seeing the faces on the children who were there with their parents. It was really, really special. And of course, my nephew was in the audience. My husband, who wrote a song, Hausa, for the book, he performed it. We had dancers. We partnered with Dance Culture Studios. So all in all, I think, Pan Macmillan really pulled out all the stops to make sure that everybody who was there felt special. But for me as an author, I think that that instant reaction from parents and kids alike is just so special.
Well, Sal, I mean, it's an important topic. And I wonder if you look at the theme that you explored, why was it so important for you to write a story about courage and independence for young readers? Because for me, the Neo's Invisible Blanket felt like a metaphor to find your inner strength, right? And I mean, can you expand on that idea a little bit further?
I mean, I think the first question I asked myself was, we all carry within us so much power. And sometimes you need a reminder. And children so much more so, right? So I started off with the premise for myself as, what if an invisible blanket could give the child, a person, the courage to face anything? And really, I went from there. But because I'm writing, obviously, for, ages 3, 4, 5, 6. You need to put it in a way that's quite simplified, but really, as you rightly put it in your introduction, it's that bravery, that courage, that fear, that do it scared kind of thing.
Yeah, and literally taking the plunge, but we won't give away too much on that front. And I'm speaking about getting that story out to a younger audience. I mean, they say that, or it's been said that if you can explain something to a child and they understand it, then you really have got into the essence and the crux of it. And so, yes, it was very, very important for you to relay that. And it also came through in the beautiful illustrations. It says you worked with Subi Bossa as well. So that synergy and also just that imagining that was translated so well. Can you explore on that journey as well?
This is my 3rd book, but it's actually my first picture book.
Yes.
And, having the illustrations help to tell the story in such a beautiful way. I think, Subi is a great talent. I think there's a reason why so many authors get excited to even work with him. He really is a standout in the illustration industry. And so for me, even how it works, right? So I've never even met Subi. So I love that when I first wanted to write a picture book, he was on my vision board. And actually, interesting story, there was another illustrator that was signed on for the project. And for some reason, they had to pull out. I got an email and they said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. This illustrator won't be able to make it. But look who we got for you." And I was like, no way. So I love how he managed to add even detail that I couldn't quite script, for a lack of a better word, even how he illustrated the invisible blanket was very special for me because,
Yeah.
it is exactly that. It is a metaphor, but you still have to show it visually. And I think he's done it in such a clever way. And that's more him than me.
Yes, and I mean it's aptly put because it's through the eyes of Thandi and Neo as well, and yes, we see how it's played out. I wonder even the language itself, because we're in South Africa. There's so many languages that are spoken. How does that also play into the representation aspect, the inclusivity as well? In relaying the emotional aspects of overcoming your fear, I think parents also learning about this. That inner child was also healed for me, at least.
Yes, I think, look, I'm glad to hear that, Liesel, because I
Thank
think
you.
I also wrote this for myself. This is a book that I needed, perhaps even when I was starting out in the industry for the first time, and being thrown straight into a big edutainment show, where I didn't always feel very brave and very worthy of this opportunity that had been thrust upon me. But yes, to speak about the languages, I think it was very important for me. I think what makes this book journey very meaningful. It's the first book of mine that's been written and translated into 5 different languages. So we have the English, we have the Afrikaans, we have isiZulu, we have Sepedi, which is my home language, and then isiXhosa. And I think what it does really is when you are tackling such foundational conversations with children about self-confidence, self-esteem, who they are inside, doing it in a language that is closest to their hearts really is special. And I've had parents who said, reading it to my child, because my child is not at a reading age yet, healed my inner child. And I was like, it didn't heal us, right? So sometimes, hearing something in your mother tongue, a language that's so familiar to you, a language that's almost, it's a part of who you are when you grow up. I think it makes the story that more impactful.
So, I mean, is it fair to ask if there are going to be more stories or more characters from Neo's world that we can look forward to? What else can you share on that front? What advice do you also have for parents and educators who are going to engage with their kids on this? You know what I liked? Strength can be gentle, and it doesn't have to always be loud, brute might and strength. That was also something that I really took away. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. You've just made my whole entire month. Thank you for this, because it's also great when older kids, so to speak, us, young at heart, connect with the story.
Yes.
Because I think a story of courage, bravery, it's so personal and so different for all of us. And I really wanted it to be a story that adults would also enjoy reading to kids, because obviously at this age they're not at an age where they're reading for themselves. And really, our children, we're competing with so many gadgets and so many forms of entertainment. So getting them back excited about books and reading and literature and learning new words, that's really what this is about. I remember the first time I read it to my 5-year-old, the next morning she came screaming into my bedroom and she said, Mommy, there's a spider in the kitchen. And then I said, and what are you going to do? She said, I'm going to put on my invisible blanket. I don't think I'm scared. And that was after just one night. And I said, okay, let's both put on our invisible blanket and go and see the spider in the kitchen.
Oh, thank you for that anecdote, and thank you for putting thoughts to paper and for sharing this, Sal. It's a reminder, right, that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's that gentle voice that says, I can do this anyway. Thank you for this work. Salamina Mosese there has crafted a story here that helps children and maybe even us grown-ups see that bravery often starts with just believing in that invisible blanket that I think we also carry within. So thank you to her for joining us at this hour.